Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. Let's be real. Being a confident, empowered woman in today's world isn't as easy as it may sound. I mean, so many of the women I work with come to me carrying invisible weight, as I call it. They're either constantly battling the feeling of being too much or not enough. They tie their self-worth to being chosen or validated, especially in dating, only to end up chasing the attention of men who don't truly see them, or give up and say, I don't need a man. If that's you, I challenge you. But a lot of it's protection, right? A lot of it is just, maybe even giving up and feeling disheartened with a lot of the stuff that you've been through with other relationships. Some of you are hiding physically and emotionally because body image issues or past rejection have made you fearful of truly being seen. Or you might have lost yourself in relationships because you are used to taking care of everyone else that you don't even know what you want anymore. And when it comes to dating, all of this shows up in subtle ways. You could be shrinking yourself on dates, hesitating to express desire, or avoiding connection altogether out of fear of being hurt or judged. And if this sounds familiar, you are so not alone. I mean, this is very common with many people I work with. And by the way, not just women, men have this too. But I have a guest on today who specializes in women, so we're going to focus a little bit on that. Before I do that, I just wanted to share there is a story that I worked with a woman who she just hadn't been on a real date over 5 years. She was in a long-term marriage and relationship, wildly successful in her career. And she just was warm, had so much love to give. But every time she thought about dating, she froze. And she just didn't know how to date without feeling like she had to prove herself or tone herself down. See, because in her marriage, her voice was shut down. Her light was dimmed. She shared a business with her ex, and she was just in this constant mode of providing and feeling like she had to do it all. But the biggest thing we had to reconnect herself with was this notion of feminine energy, reclaiming her voice and feeling safe to be visible again, because it's not for who she thought she should be, but for who she really was. And we started, of course, with the makeover. And I actually have a reel on social where I show the makeover. It was just beautiful to watch. I mean, this is a woman who was completely invisible in her clothes and was scared to death to even look at a man. And she's definitely continuing, like we haven't stopped working together, but the impact the makeover had on her self-esteem, her self-worth, her confidence has just been amazing. And, I just had a phone call with her. And she's like, Kimmy, I can't believe like all these men are just saying hi to me. I'm sitting at a bar and a guy asked me out. Like that never happens. I said, well, that's because you never were intentional and put yourself out there in a way that's told men to do that. Right. And that included her body language. That includes her like flirtatious energy. And she's now not scared to use it. So that's the kind of empowerment we're talking about today. I have an incredible host on to help me dive into a powerful conversation about women's empowerment and how it's cultivated, where it gets blocked, and why it matters more than ever, especially in today's society. From identity to confidence to visibility, and how that directly affects your relationships, dating life, your self-worth, and the way you show up in the world. He's a professional photographer and the host of the Empowerography podcast. I love that. Well, and you'll know Why? Because he empowers women. He's also a photographer. I love the play on words where he's interviewed 100 powerful women across the globe. I was honored to just be interviewed by him, and he has made it his mission to amplify women's voices and create space for stories that often go unheard. And what makes him unique is that he's not just standing beside women, he's helping lead a movement that breaks down outdated narratives and lifts women into their power. And I felt very empowered, by the way, after your podcast. Welcome, Brad Walsh. Are you there?
I am. Thank you so much, Kimmy, for this incredible opportunity to be here with you and share on your platform with your audience. I'm so excited and honored to be here. So thank you for this incredible opportunity.
Yeah, no, of course. I was kind of glad we pushed record first on yours just so that I could understand. And I was actually kind of blown away with some of your questions. It was a lot of it was very psychological and
Hmm.
made me think. So I really appreciate that because, and I was just thinking about this too, because obviously I'm a leader of confidence
Hmm.
and empowerment.
Hmm.
Yet, a lot of times, even leaders, and like the story that I just told, like you don't think about other people seeing you, right? Because you're
Yeah.
just so used to being in that leadership
Yeah.
role. So I really like appreciated that.
Thank you.
Um, okay, so I am curious. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, I don't know your whole story, so I definitely gonna want to know this whole like what got you into also like focusing on women and photography and all of it.
Well, the journey did actually start with photography years ago. Back in high school, I took a photography class in high school. I learned how to shoot on black and white film and in the darkroom, developing images. And it was first love. Photography is my first love. I fell in love with it immediately. I love the process of creation. I love the idea of seeing an image come to life on a piece of paper that I created in a camera, and then to run the photo paper through chemical baths and to actually see that image come to life. That is magic to me. And so my journey started with photography. The funny thing is, though, I never wanted to photograph people. I had no interest in photographing people. My
Oh,
thing was architecture, landscapes, and I would create an exhibit and sell my art at art shows around Toronto. I worked in corporate for 12 and a half years as an audiovisual technician at one of the big four accounting firms. And about 3 or 4 years into my career there, we'll put it to put it politely, I was tasked with the responsibility of doing the corporate headshots. And that's actually where I fell in love with photographing people. I loved having that connection and that one-on-one time with people as they sat for their portraits. I could connect with them and learn a bit about who they are and what they do. And of course, when you have a connection with someone, when you're photographing them, it helps to bring out their personality and create a much more dynamic image when you're photographing them. And then about 3 years following that, I was introduced through a mutual friend to a boudoir photographer who was based in Florida. And I fell in love with her work and the message and the mission behind that genre of photography with what you can help women accomplish in terms of body acceptance, self-love, self-confidence, as we talked about confidence. And I ended up mentoring with her for 6 months. And when I was done my mentorship, it was just one of those light bulb moments. I just knew that that's what I've got to do with my photography business when I do make the jump to photography full time. Now, that didn't happen for another 6 years, but during that 6 year period, I focused on honing my skills, my posing skills, my lighting skills, because I had never shot with artificial light before. It had always been natural light because I was always shooting outdoors. So
ah.
that's a whole other set of skills to learn how to use lighting and to learn posing. Because if you don't know how to pose a woman, you're screwed. You have a lot of very unhappy clients. And so that part of the journey, I mean, I loved being able to give that gift to another human being of showing women who they truly are in a light that they rarely or don't ever get to see themselves in. For me, being on the other side of the camera to be able to do that for another human is one of the most incredible gifts you could ever give somebody, to see them walk in to the studio and then leave a different person because of seeing themselves sometimes for the very first time is, there's not even enough words to describe the power in that and how incredible that made me feel being able to give that gift to another person. and just seeing the shift in their confidence in who they are. It's like they walk out with a different air about them, and it is so incredible to see. And so my photography, I mean, I started to reach a point where I thought, okay, I love that I get to do this. This is my first love, my first passion, but I want to reach more people. I want to have a bigger impact. How can I do that? I thought, well, why don't I take the mission, the purpose, the values of the work I'm doing as a photographer and transplant that or turn that into a podcast where I focus the podcast solely on women. I was already working solely with women anyway, so I thought, let's do this. Let's shift over to this side of things. And of course, at the time, and even now, I don't know of any other platforms that are hosted by a male that solely focus on highlighting and amplifying the voices of women through sharing their stories. So I thought this is perfect. I can carve out my own little niche in the podcasting world. As you know, it helps
Mhm.
to carve out your own little niche and stand out if you're doing something different from all the other podcasts that are out there. So I I came up with the name for the podcast. Of course, it's a play on words, as you said, empowering women, which I was doing through the photography. And then, of course, ography tied into the photography, being a photographer. And so I started reaching out to women, friends of mine who I had met and come across through my photography work, makeup artists, other photographers. And I explained what my idea was behind the idea for the platform. Of course, it was in its infancy, and so I asked them if they would help me get it off the ground by letting me interview them. Thankfully, they said yes. I did the interviews. I started creating the content and I was publishing, I think it was an episode every 2 weeks at the time. And I loved it. I was having fun with it. But at that same time, once I finished publishing all the episodes, my business started to pick up traction. I was getting more inquiries and more bookings. So I thought I have to shift my focus and my energy back to the business because that's
Mhm.
why I left corporate. So I shifted, I shelved the podcast, focused on my photography business. Then, of course, we fast forward to March of 2020. We all know how that played out. That rendered my photography business inoperable. So I thought, okay, you've got two choices here. You can either one, go through door number one, sit around and complain and commiserate with all the other people who are bitching and complaining about what's going on in the world, or you can go through door number two and choose to do something different, create something good and put that out into the world. That's what the world needs right now. So I went through door number two. I reignited the podcast. I started reaching out to women on social media, explaining my idea behind the platform, what I wanted to do with it. And the response was incredible. Women were so happy to hear that a man had created a platform such as this to help elevate women and amplify their voices that it turned into this thing where the women I was interviewing were saying, Brad, I've got a friend, I'll connect you. Brad, I know someone should be a good guest. To where we now have this incredibly beautiful platform, and it has been one of the most amazing experiences I have ever had in my life. I have met so many incredible souls. I've had the opportunity to interview so many amazing women who are doing incredible things. And the foundation of all of it is my mother and my grandmother. I was raised by those two women.
Oh,
Um, my mother left my biological father when I was 10. He was running around on her having an affair. And back in those days, of course, women stayed home to raise the kids while the husband was the one out working and making the money. So when I look back on that, the fact that she had the strength and the courage and the resilience to stand up after 15 years of marriage and say, no more, I don't have to take this anymore. I'm taking my kids and I'm leaving. She, of course, had the support of my grandmother, her mother. And so we moved into the building across the street where my grandparents lived, and she had to get a full time or like get a job after being out of work for over 10 years because she sacrificed to stay home with us. And when she was at work, my grandmother would step in. So for me, those two women, they're my heart and my soul. I wouldn't be the man I am today without those two women. So they are the big inspiration behind all of this. And it has been absolutely incredible. This journey has been amazing.
wow. Literally was going to ask you where you got that kind of passion from to really help
Hmm.
women. And that makes so much sense. And it's interesting too. And I'll circle back about just
Hmm.
like how women react, you being a man,
Hmm.
empowering women, because I think that's an interesting dynamic. But I was wondering, like, well, how, because you asked me this, and I think it is important to, like, just in your mind,
Hmm.
how do you define an empowered woman? Like, what does that look like?
I think it's shining a light and highlighting someone's skill set, someone's gifts, and who
Mhm.
they truly authentically are. And also, I think it's extending the hand down the ladder to pull them up to where you're at and help people. That's part
Hmm.
of, in my opinion, that's part of why we're all here on this planet is to support and help each other and to lift each other up. So I think those are the two things for me that personally define empowerment and what that means.
Yeah, no, 100%. Are there like certain characteristics, and this is from you being a man and doing this behind the camera and also like in front of a
Hmm.
podcast, are there kind of characteristics that you see empowered women have? Because I think that's really important too in relation to dating, like what men are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is one of the most important things or biggest things is resilience.
Ah,
Like
yeah.
just resilience and courage to stand up after you've been knocked down and get back up again and just keep going and keep that is in the women that I've met and encountered and spoken to, I'd say that's probably the biggest thing is the resilience. I mean, I often sit there and wonder and think about how some of these women that I've interviewed even have the courage to stand up. Like, how are you still standing after what you've been through? How are you even still standing on your 2 feet? I can't fathom it. And I can't see men having that strength and courage to stand up after what I've heard some of these women and what they've been through. So I would say resilience and courage are two of the biggest things for sure.
That's that's really interesting. And actually different than I thought what you were going to say. And I love that because remember on your podcast, we talked about, I think sometimes women get confused what empowerment is. At least
Hmm.
that's what I see, especially with high achieving, independent
Hmm.
women who are successful, like the one that I shared in the top of the podcast, where they think empowerment has to be where they're assertive, that they have to like
Yeah.
go after something and they have to just rely on themselves. Like as a man, like how do you distinguish that, like when you
Well,
say that?
I think, I mean, that's part of the conditioning, right? Is that
Yeah.
women, and we're seeing more and more of it, although I think we're seeing a shift now, but we've been seeing more and more that where women are adopting the male energy and
Yes.
stepping into that and having to do, and wear the pantsuits and be assertive and be aggressive. And then they get labeled as a bitch or whatever the case may
Correct.
be, right? So I think we're seeing more women stepping into the feminine side of who they are. I mean, we all have both within us, masculine and feminine energy. So I think we're seeing a shift where more women are stepping into and adopting back to their roots, back to their feminine energy. And I think that's important. That's what women should be doing. Why should they have to adopt and be something so loudly and boldly that they're really not? Yes, they have it there. Absolutely. They can bring it out and utilize it. But that first and foremost, they're women, they're feminine. Utilize
Right.
those,
Yeah.
utilize that energy and adopt that and step into that and be that first.
100%. And this is what I tell women is that our feminine is our power. Like
Hmm.
that's the funny thing is that so many women are trying to shift into the man's power, but the
Hmm.
man's power is the man's power. We have our
Hmm.
own power, kind of
Yes,
thing.
absolutely.
Well, and I'd love because I want to talk a little bit too how it relates to the photography
Hmm.
because I again like we're simpatico here because one of the first things I do after I dress them is to get a photo shoot.
Hmm.
And at all my retreats, I don't know if you know this, I always have a photo shoot at my
Oh, no, I
retreat.
didn't know that.
Yeah, because I'm like, I can't do anything else until people really like see themselves. Like, you're right. When people look at themselves in that photo, it's incredible. But can you talk a little bit about also the empowered woman
Hmm.
who can still be feminine in her body? I think this gets really confusing because I teach and preach this, but from your standpoint, I think this would be super powerful.
I think that that is true beauty. That's what beauty is embracing that feminine. And again, it's like being able to show these women who they truly are, their feminine energy in these images that we capture. And I like the shoots to be playful and fun. I want them to have fun while we're shooting. And another thing that I do when I'm shooting is I'm constantly showing my clients the back of the camera. I'm not worried about because I know there's a lot of photographers out there that don't because They don't want to show unedited images,
Um,
whatever the case may be.
yeah.
I don't care. I'm going to show them because I want them to know that, hey, look at what we're capturing. You are stunning. And I'm constantly talking to them and joking around with them during the shoot. And there's got to be constant communication because think about it. These women are in an incredibly vulnerable state,
Hmm.
right? They're standing in front of a photographer in their underwear. And so there's a level of not being comfortable in their skin to begin with when they first walk in, but then they're also standing in their underwear. And so I want them to feel as comfortable as possible. So I'm showing them the images. I'm constantly talking to them and conversing with them and joking, keeping it light, and so that they do see who they truly are and capturing that image, those images, capturing their feminine energy in those images is key. It's everything. I mean, I do a pre-shoot consult with all of my clients where I have questions that why do you want to do a boudoir shoot? And I
Hmm.
also stress that in these shoots, you don't have to wear lingerie. That's not a requirement. You
Mm.
can wear whatever you want. If you want to wear cutoff jean shorts and a tank top, I don't care. It's about you feeling comfortable in what you're wearing. Whatever makes you feel beautiful, whatever makes you feel safe. That's what it's about. It's honestly, to me, the images are a byproduct. It's about
Yeah.
the experience. It's not even about the images. Yes, you get the images
Oh,
after, and
I
that's
so
that's
agree.
beautiful,
Hmm.
but it's about the experience and how you feel while you're getting your photos taken, how you feel after the shoot. That's what it's about. It's capturing that. That is the key, and that is the essence of a shoot.
Oh my God. I'm so happy you said that. It's 100% because yeah, I'll get women like, oh, I just did a photo shoot or I have some pictures and like
Hmm.
that's not it. Like you have to experience looking at yourself
Hmm.
and feeling it. Well, because also, and I love like there's different definitions also of
Hmm.
sensuality,
Yep.
sexuality,
Hmm.
femininity. Like these are all aspects that I think a photographer like you can really draw out in a woman.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, what are there certain poses or body language or things that you would like help women with to feel
Oh,
any of that?
I always do. I mean,
Mm.
the posing most, I would say 98% of my clients, they don't have any idea how to pose. So that's my
Right,
job is to teach them, is to show them this is how I want you to pose. And it's always about if they feel comfortable in that pose. I mean, sometimes the poses aren't going to become because you haven't contorted your body in those ways. So it's
right.
different, it's new, but it's about creating this space where they feel comfortable in their body and to just be who they truly are. And I'm guiding them the whole way through, constantly holding their hand on the way through. You need to put your hands here. You need to put your leg this
Mm.
way. You need to point your toes here and this and hang your head over here. So I'm constantly guiding them through the whole process. That's my job as a photographer is to do that because 98% of the women have no idea how to pose. Most of them haven't ever done a photo shoot before. So they're not going
Right.
to know. And a common thing, well, where do I put my hands? What do I do with my hands? That's my job. Don't you worry about that. I got you. I take care of that for you. I'll show you, teach you, show you where to put your hands, how to pose, all of that stuff. Because they don't know. And they shouldn't. How would they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also like how that even translates out into the world because, I
Hmm.
find that even like people knowing, how to put their hand on their hip,
Hmm. Yeah.
because there's like a lot of women who'll put like two hands on the hips.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, that looks bossy. Like, no guy wants to date that. There's certain signals that the body language says.
Hmm.
Um, I don't even remember if I've shared the story on my podcast, but when I was a matchmaker, I did that back in the day.
Hmm.
There was a guy that I was trying to match, and I showed him a picture of a woman, and it was a professionally done picture,
Hmm.
but she wore this like kind of grayish shirt, and she was really light skinned, so she kind of looked washed out,
Hmm.
but she had her arms folded and and for you listening you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing, so go over to YouTube and watch it, but she had this like stern look on her face, like that. And I think it was the style of whatever the session she was having,
Hmm.
but that was the first photo that I showed him and he immediately says no.
That speaks unapproachable.
Correct. And I said,
Hmm.
but wait a second, she's
Guarded.
everything. Right. I said, but she's everything that you want. She's beautiful. And she even like modeled on the side and blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
He goes, no. I said, well, what are you reacting to? Like, what are you saying in your head? You know what he said? He's like, she looks like she would kick my ass. He goes, I don't need any more drama. So I said, okay, hold on. Wait a second. So I showed him picture number two.
Hmm.
And it was full length. She was outside. The sun was shining in her hair. She had her head cocked and her
Hmm.
head tilt and
Hmm.
smiling and looking up like that. And he goes, and I heard a thump and he fell off his chair. And I like, are you okay? What happened? He goes, oh my gosh, Kimmy, yes, 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 I
Two
want to
totally
meet her.
different people.
Completely. I said, well, what's the difference? He's like, well, the second one, she looks feminine. She looks sexy. She looks
Soft and yep.
approachable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the power of a photo, a
Oh yeah.
stance, an energy, and how you
Hmm.
capture that is so important.
It is for sure. It's everything
It
because a
is.
photograph, as they say, is worth 1,000 words.
And you're only as good as your worst photo, too. That is- yeah, because on the profiles, right? Like, there'll be
Hmm.
people who post awful photos
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then they'll have a
Selfies
really
that
good
they've
one.
taken or
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
But if that one bad one will make people swipe left and not give
Yeah.
the person a
Well,
chance.
people, I don't think people value photography.
Mm.
They don't see the value in it. It's, oh, I got a camera on my phone so I can take my own pictures. Sure. Okay, but you're not if you're not a professional photographer, then no, you can't.
Yeah.
It's about the lighting, it's about the posing, it's about the image that you're conveying through that photograph.
Yeah. No, 100%. So here's a question about the other side. So obviously, like you see so many women both on your podcast and
Hmm.
just doing your sessions. Are there some common traits of women who have low empowerment, like ones who are insecure? Like what does that look like? What do you see?
I think that comes from being emotionally abused, physically abused,
Mm.
being told they're not good enough, very low self-confidence. As we spoke about, confidence is huge. So, it's a work. As you said on my podcast, we're talking about confidence and the importance of, yes, it starts here. The foundation is within us, but it's also exterior as well. But in terms of what we're talking about, it is interior. It is about loving yourself first. Self-love is the starting base. It's the foundation for everything. So they have to learn to, and it's not just women, men too.
Yeah.
Um, they have to learn to love themselves first. That's the starting point. That's where it all begins. But it is, I think that's it. Low confidence, being beat down, not physically, but just in
Yeah.
general, emotionally, spiritually, all of it. It's huge. But that's, I think those are the common things is being told they're not good enough, not believing in themselves. Not believing in themselves is the biggest thing. And not trusting themselves.
Yeah. Well, and those are things that like you and I talked about before, it
Hmm.
stems from, early on and
Hmm.
somewhere else
Yeah.
and other relationships
Teachers,
or
friends,
teachers. It could be anything.
parents.
But like in a photo session,
Hmm.
what does a almost like kind of a beaten down type of woman in that aspect look like? Because I think it's important. See, I call it leaking. A lot of
Hmm.
women don't realize how their energy leaks. Like they
Very
might,
shy, very guarded,
ah,
uncomfortable in their own skin, don't know how to stand, don't like they're not standing up straight.
mm-hmm,
They're slumped. They're playing small. They're physically standing small. But once we get into the session and start shooting and they get more comfortable, a funny thing happens with the shoots is, you know, I can see physically the confidence start to grow as we progress during the shoot. And then a lot of the times what happens is we'll get to the end of the shoot and they're feeling it, they're in the vibe, they're going with it. And I'm like, okay, we got enough. Oh, well, I was really just starting to get into this. This is great. So that
Just
happens
getting
quite a bit.
started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's
cute.
that introverted, almost,
Mm,
an introvert, but physically introverted. They're not standing up straight. That's what that looks like.
yeah. Yeah. Are there certain tips and tricks that you can share that you do with people to get them kind of out of their head and introverted energy?
Humor always works.
Yeah.
Talking to them,
Yeah.
and like I said, showing them the back of the camera, saying, "Look at what we were capturing. You are absolutely beautiful. Look at what we've got here." So that in the shoots, that's the constant thing, is just constantly showing them the back of the camera, showing them what we're capturing, continually encouraging them, keeping the energy light and fun. Um, those are the main things for me. But that whole confidence thing and
Hmm.
the comfort level with me, because I'm a male photographer, that starts from the very beginning when I do my pre-shoot consult. From the very first point of contact, that's part of the pre-shoot consult, is making them feel comfortable. I want to know more about who you are. What parts of your body do you not like? What parts of your body do you absolutely love? We'll focus on those. I tell them again, like I said, you don't have to wear lingerie. You can wear whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me. As long as you feel comfortable and beautiful in it, that's all that matters. So these things, and finding out and getting to the root of why they want to do a shoot. Why do you want to do a boudoir shoot? And a lot of women their first response will be, "Oh, it's for my partner." Well, no, okay, that's great, but that's not the reason. You've got to be doing this for you first and foremost. It's about you. It's about you feeling good about yourself. The images, like I said, they're a byproduct, and you can gift those to your partner later, but you have to be doing this for you first and foremost. So all of these things lead up to and start to build the comfort level. So they already have an idea of who I am and what I'm about before we even get to the studio.
Yeah.
That's one of the, if not the most important thing, being a male photographing these women, for me anyways, is creating that comfort level with my clients for sure.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And it's so synergistic with what I believe. You and I talked about this. It's not really until you see yourself in that photo and you're like,
Hmm.
I'm beautiful, I'm
Hmm.
sexy, I'm sensual,
Yeah.
I'm feminine. That's all that matters, really.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. And of course, the partner's gonna love them too. But like, I
Yeah.
love that you just focus on the
Hmm.
woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, in terms of like, is there any tips that you can tell women to do on their own? I mean, not everybody can do a photo shoot with you to get comfortable in their body, that might help them see themselves differently.
Do the inner work, practice self-love, learn to be, and I know we talked about this, well, go be confident. Well, no, it's not that simple.
Yeah.
I think surrounding yourself with people who see who you are,
Mm.
see your beauty, see, and again, beauty is not just exterior, it's on the inside too. Um, so I think doing that self-work, um, that's that's what I got. That's the best thing I can suggest, is having conversations and doing the work, having conversations with people, in like-minded, heart-minded people, but doing the self-work
Yeah.
and believing in yourself. And again, I know it's not easy. It does take a lot of work, but if you surround yourself with the right people, that helps for sure. Your
Mm-hmm.
friends, lean on them. That's what they're there for. That's what your community's there for. That's what your friends are there for. Lean into and lean on those people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and
Self-care, self-care. You have to take
oh
care of
yeah.
yourself first. This is something that a lot of women, and I've experienced it through the podcast, through conversations, is women tend to, and I'm sure you can attest to this, and I think we talked about it, we touched on it on my podcast, is women so often tend to put everybody else first,
Mm-hmm.
and they put themselves on the back burner,
Mm-hmm.
and then they've got nothing left to give themselves. So I think rewiring the mindset, rewiring the neurons, rewiring the way of thinking, where put yourself first. It's not selfish. It isn't, contrary to what you've been told or what you've been conditioned or taught to believe. Self-care. Putting yourself first is absolutely imperative. So that's where I would start actually is with self-care. Put yourself first.
I would go so far to say self-care is sexy. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Because when you see a woman really taking care of herself and putting herself first, that's what I think men find attractive.
Hmm.
Wouldn't you
And
agree?
that's not just the manicures and the pedicures and getting your
No,
hair done.
right,
That's part of it,
right.
but it's really putting yourself first, your needs, your wants first. Then you have that much more to give to those you want to give to, those who are around you, those who you love. Then you have that much more to give them, and they will appreciate it too. I mean, there are going to be people that you're going to upset because you're setting boundaries, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's another important thing to mention is setting the boundaries that no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to, if I don't want to do this, no, no is a full sentence. It's okay to say no. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to give an explanation as to why you're saying no. It's just no, that's it. Put yourself first,
Yeah. I love
100%.
that. I love
That's
that.
where it starts, I think.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I love that also this whole notion of you helping women getting comfortable with their body image because, I work with so many women and there's a lot of studies out there that show that women will actually not go out on a date or not go out socially if they're not feeling comfortable in their body. Like
Hmm.
that's real and especially when we
It
get
is.
menopause and
Hmm.
aging bodies and so I
Well,
don't
as you
care
say in the second act, in Act
the
Two,
second.
right?
Yeah, in act 2, it is really it's hard. And so what, just seeing yourself in a picture looking beautiful when
Hmm.
so many women are looking in the mirror and just hating on themselves.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
what a beautiful gift you
It
are
is. It
offering them.
truly is. For me, it's a gift to me to be able to do that, to be able to
Yeah.
give that to someone else is, yes, it's a gift for them, absolutely, but it's also a gift for me. Um, I love being able to do that.
Well, here, okay, so I have just kind of a fun question. So you're
Hmm.
married,
Hmm.
like, do you photograph your wife? Like, is
No,
that
no, 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 that has
no?
not, no, she hates her
Oh,
photo being taken, hates it.
oh, that's ironic.
Mhm. Isn't it?
Yes, it is. We could do a whole episode on that if you
We
want.
could.
We could have a whole session together on that.
Absolutely.
Oh, Brad. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you for sharing. Just, I think it's very inspiring, and I hope that a woman listens to this and at least just goes out and takes a selfie of herself, just
Yeah.
that one little thing, I'll never forget this woman who was like painfully shy, introverted, like
Hmm.
the woman that you described that you
Hmm.
see has been beaten down, like, and it was an earlier makeover that I did, and we did a photo shoot, and
Hmm.
you see her not just like how you said, like I created a monster basically because she didn't want to leave, and you see her like arching her back and
Hmm.
sticking out her butt, like
Yeah.
really sexy. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
this is the same woman who walked in the door, and it was only like 24 hours. So
Hmm.
it 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 is such a powerful thing. Yes, it starts with the inner, but like me and you kind of do some of this
Hmm.
outer stuff that
Hmm.
brings it home into
I
the.
get to see that transformation happen in 90 minutes. Never mind
I
24
mean,
hours. It's incredible.
amazing, right? Oh
Hmm.
God, so cool. Well, one day, hopefully, maybe you could do a photo shoot at my retreat.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
I
I've
would
done
love to get into
boudoir.
doing.
I've done boudoir at some of my retreats to my VIP gals, and it was
Mhm.
amazing for them. So yeah, no, that's
I'd
awesome.
be honored. That would be amazing.
Well, Brad, any last words of wisdom that you want to part with? And
Just believe in yourself. You are worthy. You are enough. You are an incredible human being with incredible gifts to give the world. So believe in yourself and love yourself, most importantly.
I love that. And where can everyone find your podcast?
Apple, Spotify,
All
on
over the
my
place.
website. Yeah, everywhere. Empowerographypodcast.com, everywhere.
Awesome. Brad, thank you so, so much.
Oh, Kimmy, thank you so much for the incredible opportunity. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I've enjoyed every minute of our conversation. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. And thank you for joining me today, you listening. This has been the Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, of course, Kimmy Seltzer. And remember, you can build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. And if you are feeling invisible, small, or holding yourself back from finding love, definitely take advantage of the free calls, and they're private, that I do with you. And then that way we can flush things out, what might be causing all of this, and finding ways to empower yourself. Imagine getting some ideas of breaking the cycle that you have been dealing with for so long in one call. So just click the link you see in the show notes to book that. And remember, working on you is working on your dating life. That's all for now.